Hey, welcome to From the Baseline, another Worldwide Hoops edition, and I am Mark Williams, PBR Global Scout. We appreciate you tuning in. We have a special episode today, and we're going to have on a European basketball expert, and Tom Thuillier from France. And Tom is a social media correspondent. He works with FTB on their social media side, especially covering the women's basketball side and the youth women's basketball side. He does a great job with them of providing content for their social medias and Twitter and Instagram and all those, and really is in the know. But we're going to catch up a little bit and visit about the European qualifiers. And so after this quick break, Tom will join us. So stay tuned after this.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. Yeah, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Hey.
I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking you to lock in for 3 straight games. All right, you got 2 games and a half. We come down here for 4 really good, intense games. That's not hard. We come down here to do something special. Lock in and do it, all right? Let's go.
Finish on 3, 1, 2, 3, finish.
Hey, PG.
Everybody here, right now. You gotta understand that things are gonna go wrong.
Hey, Jay.
You gotta understand shots gonna go in and out. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But this you can't replace. You gotta understand, it gotta come from here.
Every time we've done it,
You gotta have a sense of urgency.
we're getting to the ring.
That's all. It's about heart, y'all. Effort. We need the bench involved. We need all that. So what we gonna do? How we gonna come out of it?
Keep playing with energy and keep getting one shot, box out hard, and let's run.
Y'all gotta want it.
On track, now we going way up. W is stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going.
Hey, welcome back, and we are honored to have Tom Thuillier from France. We worked on that in the last name before we got started. But Tom and I go back to, what was that, 2018, Tom? That we did that little summer internship and did the European Championship, and Tom is in France, and Tom is a part-time guy with FIBA doing the social media contributor, I think is the official title. Really focusing on the youth women's side within FIBA, and then he's in his master's. So, Tom, share a little bit about what your goal is, just there as a social media contributor with FIBA, when it's part with women's basketball.
Well, our main goal is, of course, to promote the game through FIBA channel. So on both platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, and just share how good is the league and how good is European player, international player. So basically, our game is to promote the game and share everything we have in competitions during the year.
So what competitions are regularly going on throughout the year in Europe?
Well, in Europe, there is 2 club competition. So the EuroLeague Women, which is the top competition. And the second European competition is EuroCup Women. So this is the same format as we have the regular season, and then we have the playoff. And then we have the international competition, which is the Eurobasket qualifiers and Eurobasket final round, and the youth competition during the summer, under 16, under 18, under 20.
Okay. Now, we just had this past week was the European qualifiers. That last window for the European Championship. So share a little bit about what's the significance, because before they didn't quite usually always do the qualifiers. What is the significance, and what does the role really play having the qualifiers?
Well, the main role of the qualifiers is the team who will go to the final round. There is like 16 teams that go to the final round, and in the qualifier, I think there were 32.
I think so.
Right. But the main goal is of qualifier is that we have many groups of. There is a lot of different teams, so I mean there is a lot of disparity and density in the qualifiers. As you can have top teams like Sweden or Slovenia or Belgium facing minor countries like Estonia, North Macedonia, Switzerland. So it's really interesting because there is a lot of team, there is a lot of player to see, and even if there is a huge gap between the teams, it's still interesting to watch them play live.
Yeah. See them represent their country. In their final 16, was there a surprise team that qualified for you?
Well, can't say it's really a surprise because they really played well, and it's Bosnia, because as you may know, Bosnia naturalized Jungle Jones. Right. So she basically really stepped up the game for the team, and I mean they really play well. They beat Russia, which is kind of good team, right, with some major player like Vadeva, Muzina, and experienced player. So we don't really weight Bosnia at this level, but it's really good for them that they will be in the final round, and it's totally well deserved.
Absolutely. Well, and it's so much of it's cool and exciting. I mean, you saw a video of like Greece who qualified, and them just the celebration and the elation that they qualified. You know, their country, for some of these countries, just being in the tournament is a win.
it's a bit special for Greece because they needed this last bucket from Maria Fazula,
Mm-hmm.
and they needed to win by 15, and so they needed that last free throw to be in the final round.
Right.
Uh, so that's why they celebrate, and also because they returned to the final round after missing it in 2019. So it's also a big thing for them because this is a country that uh, that can really that come to the final round frequently, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So returning to the final round, and especially that way with the last minute buckets, that means a lot for them.
Absolutely. Oh, and exciting. I mean, it's unfortunately we don't get a lot of that. I mean, there's FIBA Americas over here, but outside of US and Canada, it's not very competitive. So well, let's talk a little bit about some young players. One of the cool things with the qualifiers is because it's three, and there's different injuries and pro contracts and different things. A lot of times you get some young kids who get an opportunity to get their first senior, national women's experience. And a name that has been talked about a lot. And if somebody didn't know who they were before, they should know now. If you don't, you need to go back and watch. But that's for Finland is a walk. I mean, she had 25, and her average was 25 points a game, but she had a game of 30.
Yeah.
And you really saw her game grow. And talk a little bit about her.
Well, she was already a part of the national team during the last qualifiers,
Right.
so the 2019 qualifiers.
Mhm.
So we can see the difference between her playing the national team level in 2018, 2019,
Right.
when they tried to qualify for the last Eurobasket, and the difference between now. And as she is playing during the summer for youth national team, and now playing for in Italy in one of the top team from Italy first division, you really see her game growth, and it's really interesting that she can have good games, but she can have good games against a player like Emma Messman, you know.
Right.
She played one of the top power forward in the world, and she was good.
Yeah.
So this is the main point about her and how our games evolve.
Absolutely. Well, and you talk about her experience there in Italy, and really from my perspective, because I followed her all the way up and through, is you've seen her just grow to where we always saw, like, man, she can really dominate if she wanted to. And she would show flashes, but she wouldn't like take over a game a lot of times. But what I saw this qualifier that was super impressive was like she put Finland on her back, and I'll go drop 30. Like it's that kind of mentality that was impressive.
Yeah, she took a lot more shot than in the previous qualifiers or in the previous competition. So it's really interesting her taking on her responsibilities, and it's easier because it's Finland. I always try to compare in a way Iliana Rupert, who is also 2001 born, with Awak, because they kind of a similar position, but maybe different skills. But playing for Finland is maybe easier to show what you can do, and taking more responsibilities, more shots, you know.
Right. Now, I've got into this conversation a couple times with a couple people, especially about the WNBA draft, because Rupert's name has come up and Awak's name has come up. Give me your comparison, because you see a lot of Rupert there in France as she's grown up and plays there. Give me your comparison or thoughts as far as the WNBA is concerned between those
Well, I think it's a really different style, you know.
two.
It's because it's difficult to compare them because the style is really different. Iliana Rupert is really efficient, you know. She's been named Youth Player of the Year in EuroLeague Women last year. So that's mean that she's doing great in European competition, in top European competition, and that speaks a lot about her. I mean, when you're the top youth player in EuroLeague Women, and you have a lot of time on the court in the top competition, it's always good for you, and it means that you're one of the top player at this level, you know. And I don't really see Awak this year in Italy because they had a different live stream as the other country in Europe. So I only see her in the qualifiers, but I mean, wow, she's athletic. She can shoot. She can play 1-on-1, and I mean, both of them are great, but I don't know if we can really compare them.
Right. You're right. It is a top comparison. I think both are going to have a good WNBA career. And I see Rupert as being a double every night. Like that's how efficient that she is.
But it depends of what you need and what you
Right.
want in the team.
Absolutely. And a walk just has a chance to be special. And walk's a little bit younger. I think she's a year younger than Rupert, but you're right. I mean, they're both two outstanding players. So
I mean, Awak has a bit more. I don't know. I don't know how to say, but she can have a big margin of progression, you know.
Right.
Because Rupert is already is. I won't say that she's at the top level, but she already have. She's already much mature, maybe.
Yep. Yeah. And she is, and that's from her experience of playing in the EuroLeague longer, you know, at the top level competition longer than a walk. From the European qualifiers, who are a couple other young kids? We know Emma Chardon, and she's going to Maryland there at Switzerland, but outside of Emma and outside of a walk, who are some other young kids that were impressive for you?
Well, I would say, well, we also what Thuillier Cité did in the qualifiers. I mean, she has a lot of minutes in the court, and also I want to talk about how Odron Zdanovic Cité. I don't know if it's the correct spell, but they were playing together in the under 16,
Right.
and she was just like so fun to watch in the under 16. She has a difficult campaign here with her debut with the national team of Lithuania.
Mm-hmm.
But she's a player to watch, and she's really exciting to see.
Absolutely.
I also posted a video about Kamilia Borkowska from Poland.
Mm-hmm.
She's also a player that I really like, and I was quite surprised that she was in the starting five for Poland for these two games, because she recovered from an injury last year, and she had a good start in Polish first division.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a player that I like to watch during the qualifiers.
Yeah, and I mean, when Lithuania, they have a chance to have a really good backcourt for a long time, you know, with those two players. And then Borkowska from Poland, her size is already an intimidation, but you saw her grow just from stepping out and hitting the open jumper to footwork inside the lane, and so it's going to be interesting as she continues to develop in her pro career, because from my understanding, she's decided to stay in Europe and play pro, and how she develops, because she has a ton of potential, and she's still real lean, and as her body gets stronger and her being able to take the contact.
I mean, she already kind of developed a lot since the under 18 competition like 2 years
Mhm.
ago, I think, because of playing in the first division in Polish league,
Right.
which is kind of good league, and also by playing this kind of competition against top national teams such as Great Britain or Belarus.
That's huge. Absolutely. And it's very promising for Polish basketball to
Yeah.
have a prospect like her to come out. And so
Mm.
that's exciting. And so, if you are interested in watching any of these players or any of the European qualifier games, it's all on FIBA's YouTube channel. And so you can go to YouTube and search FIBA European was it European Women's Qualifiers or European Women's Championship, and they'll come up there. And so there's some great basketball there to be played. Some game winning shots, some qualifying things, and so really cool.
Yeah, you can also check on the website, and you have all the rosters, all the information of the player, the club where she played, and it's really easy to find. I mean,
Absolutely. And FIBA does a great job because you have with their pro league and qualifiers and youth, getting that information. Names are right, their birth years are right, and their clubs are right. And so you can kind of follow them to know where they're to see more of them. And so hey, so one of the things that you also do with FIBA is you cover the Euro League and the Euro Cup. Now most Americans probably don't understand that there's a difference and what the difference is. So talk a little bit about what is the Euro League, what is the Euro Cup, and how are they different?
well, the difference is huge because the Euro League, of course, is one of the is the top competition here in Europe, and probably one of the most competitive league in the world. So this is the league where you have a lot of WNBA player that comes overseas, and where you have team like Ekaterinburg with so many stars there. So basically, the Euro League Women is the most famous league, of course, for FIBA, and the Euro Cup Women is at some point very similar to Eurobasket Women qualifiers because you have in terms of disparity and density, there is a lot of team with sometimes a huge gap between the teams, but you have a lot of players to see over there. And you also have a lot of WNBA rookie or WNBA player that come and play for a Turkish team, for French team, for Russian team. And a lot of countries are represented in Euro Cup Women. And less countries are represented in EuroLeague Women, but I think there will be like 5 or 6 countries represented in EuroLeague.
Mm, okay. How many teams are in the Euro League?
In EuroLeague, there are four group of 4, I think, so 16 teams.
Right.
With the top 2 teams going to the qualifier.
Oh, okay. In those leagues, and you, in essence, you got the Euro League, which is a top league, and then you got the Euro Cup. Euro Cup has 16 teams as well.
No, Euro Cup has a lot more teams. As I said, it's more about the Eurobasket qualifiers. It's like, I don't know this year, but we have between 28 and 32 teams in January.
Okay. And so now let's talk about, and those are teams from all over Europe.
Yeah.
Your Euro League, sometimes you'll have a top youth player that may be a development player with them or in their program and stuff. Are there any top youths in the Euro League or playing in the Euro League right now?
Well, in terms of youth player, you always have Rupert for Bourges. You also have Josite playing a bit for Lyon. But it's more difficult to play when you're a young player in EuroLeague Women. You really have to be a top player. like Rupert is, because teams are really competitive and they want the best player on the court.
Right. Well,
To
and
Europe,
they
where it's easier.
right, and I mean you're not only competing to win, but you're competing to stay in the EuroLeague because it you know your top finisher, bottom finishers, and your top
Well,
of Euro Cup can switch.
well, it's not really the system because teams are qualified with their result in their own domestic league. You know,
Okay.
you need to finish first in the domestic league to go in the EuroLeague Women.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
This is how teams qualify, and of course, if you win the EuroLeague Women, you're qualified already for the next year.
Right. Right. So what about the Euro Cup? Is there any good youth players within the Euro Cup?
Well, there is a lot. I think it's really difficult to see every team in Euro Cup Women. I'm watching a lot of game because I'm covering it.
Right.
And because I love it. But you have really there is a lot of student player in like a Belgian team like Phantomsboom,
Mm,
which is a Belgian team. Come and play their 3 games with a team that average 20 years old, I think.
okay.
So there is a lot of interesting player. There is player who played with Belgium youth team during the not the last summer but 2 years ago. There is also a Turkish player. I mean, Turkish team usually give minutes to youth player, and when I talked about youth player, I mean 2002 born or 2003 born.
Right.
I mean, you have Sereka Dombay from Hungary playing there with Gior, which is interesting. She already played last year, but you have a lot of player, especially from Belgian team. You also have Julia Natali playing with Venice, which is interesting. Laura Meldere from Latvia. Well, I mean a lot of players that play youth competition in FIBA or it's because team are team in Euro Cup women are not building for the future, but they like to put their youth player on the court when there's 20 margin, you know.
Right.
Okay, the game is over. We're gonna let the youth play on the court, but they still playing really good teams. Like I mean, teams from Belgium where there are a lot of 2002 and 2003 born. They play against Reia Venezia, which is one of the biggest challenger for the title. They play against a really good French team, and they play against the champion of Switzerland.
Right.
So they play against good player, and it's really interesting to see.
Well, and for countries like Belgium, who don't really have like a domestic league, and if they do have a domestic league, is not very competitive just because of a numbers game. It is important for those kids to play Euro Cup. I remember talking from Belgium, talking to Billy and Becky Massey's dad. Yeah, and talking to him during the European Championships, and he was talking to me about their Euro Cup and their experience, and that's when colleges were recruiting them, and since they decided to stay and play pro. But you see their experience playing Euro Cup and how that's propelled them, and they're now regulars as far as the Belgium senior women's national team are, and so it's huge for development, especially for those kids in countries that really don't have a good domestic league.
Yeah, that's why you always have like 2 or 3 Belgian team in Euro Cup women, and of course they don't reach the round of 16 or quarterfinal, but they still playing against good teams and playing like really good team and good players. So that's always a good experience for them.
Absolutely.
Even if they lose by 50 or 40, this is a good experience. And and you can show what you can do on the big stage, because Euro Cup Women is also a big stage, as it's the second competition in Europe.
Oh, absolutely. And your other EuroLeague teams are looking at the Euro Cup to sign other players and players that are playing well that can help them, and looking for European prospects. So, well, Tom, man, we appreciate you coming on today, and I think we're gonna try to make this maybe a regular, maybe every other month or every so often, just to you have good insight within the European competition and your involvement with FIBA. You see a lot of European basketball and a lot of prospects coming up. And I know from college coaches' side, they recruit European a lot, and it's really kind of taken off in the last 5-6 years, where we've seen a lot more college coaches at European youth events, under 16s, under 18s primarily, some under 20s, but that number has grown. And so it's you gave us a lot of knowledge on the European system, and we appreciate that. But we'll be checking in for sure and have you on, talk about other kids who are playing well and youth prospects.
Sure. Don't hesitate to go on Eurocup website or Eurobasket Collector's website, rewatch the game, check the rosters, and you always find something interesting. Even me, when I look at the rosters and players who play, I say, she really plays like 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna watch this 5 minutes, and it's really easy.
Awesome. Well, we like I said, we appreciate it. Now, where can people find you? I know you're very active on Twitter. But before we wrap this up, why don't you give everybody your Twitter handle? And
Yeah,
somebody wants to follow you.
My Twitter handle is Tom Thuillier, so as written here. So
there you go. I'll put it up there. Before we had to practice the last name, he gave me the spelling and all that kind of stuff. So, but Tom, my friend, we appreciate you coming on and stuff, and we look forward to talking more European basketball real soon.
of course, nice chat.